went to this other doctor, and they did these tests. And they immediately said, oh, we need to do open heart surgery. You need to be here tomorrow morning. So I got up in the morning, and I'm getting ready to go for this procedure. And I thought, wait a minute. I do believe in miracles. So I went into the church, and I took a vial, which I meant to bring and I forgot. But I took a vial of the myrrh from the myrrh streaming icon of Hawaii, which is a paper icon that pours forth myrrh. And you all know what would happen if you took some oil and poured it on a paper icon. It would, bubble up. But it isn't. And I have a vial of this. So I went in and I put this on my finger and I made a sign of the cross over my heart. So I get to this hospital and I'm prepped, ready for the surgery. And I'm lying on the gurney and I've got all these, the doctors and the nurses and everybody there, and they're going to do one final series of tests to know exactly what they need to do, where, and then they're going to proceed. And the doctor said, Father Tryphon, your heart's fine. We don't need to do anything. And I said, well, what about all of the tests? I said, you did 3 tests that all said I needed to have this procedure. And he goes like this in front of his staff. He goes like this and he says, prayer? And I thought, well, duh. And again, this is what it means to be expecting a miracle. And if you think you need to be a holy person to have a miracle happen, guess again. Look at the New Testament, it's filled with reprobates who were healed. You're looking at one of them. I'm not that old that I'm a New Testament reprobate, but I am an old reprobate, a sinner. But we need to expect those miracles. And if we don't have it, we need to have a peaceful heart ready for the Lord to receive us. My confessor, Father Nicholas Letton, who's 94, you know him.
50 years.
Yeah. And Father Nicholas is one of the most joyful people that I have ever known. And I love him dearly. And I get to Portland, Oregon as often as I can to go to confession to him. And I always take him on a drive and we go eat. Both of us totally love Thai food. So here we are. And I'm with Father, and Father Dimitri's wife, Matushka Barbara, is dying. And so I called him up and I said, I'm going to head over tomorrow. I want to see Barbara. So I drove the 3.5-hour drive to Portland. And I went to their home, their little assisted living apartment that's right across from their church. And Barbara was in her hospital bed in their little living room with her head back and her mouth wide open, not looking at all like the woman that I knew. And she was not conscious, at least not verbally conscious. But I got to see her and I got to sit there with Father Nicholas. And I took the little vial of the myrrh and I made the sign of the cross on her forehead and I kissed her. And then I left and let Father be there. And Father Nicholas told me that Matushka Barbara had said to him, I just want to go home. And the day that she died, 2 or 3 days later, I think it was 2 days later, she died. And so Father Paul and I went to the funeral. And I met this woman at the funeral that was staying with her while Father Nicholas took a little break. Connie. And Connie told me that the last thing that Matushka Barbara said before she passed away, I just want to go home. So here we are at the funeral, and I think I sent you the picture of him. I've got it on my phone. And here's Father Nicholas in his wheelchair with this beautiful, you saw it, this beautiful smile on his face. I should resent him because one time when I was visiting Portland, in Northwest Portland, when he still had his parish there, and he and I went on a walk, and we went to a coffee house. And we go in, and he knows the woman that owns this coffee house, and he says, "Oh, Jan, I want you to meet my brother, Father Tryphon." And she said, "Oh, I've always wanted to meet your older brother." His birthday is November 8th, mine is November 9th, separated by 20 years. And of course he has to tell people all about that I was mistaken as his older brother, bless his heart.
Now I would like to have a time for questions, if anyone has anything they wanted to Father Tryphon to address, now's the time.
Yes.
When the icon talked, did it move? Did
No.
it move?
No lips moving, but I knew it was the Virgin speaking to me. I mean, I'd never heard of an icon speaking. Certainly didn't know the story of that icon. I didn't know that at one time it had moved, and I didn't know that it had ever flown forth myrrh or tears. I didn't know that. I certainly didn't know that it had spoken. I'd never heard of such a thing.
Don't be shy. Now's your chance. Get home.
I'm 74, I could be dead tomorrow. And then you'll think, "Oh, rats, I wanted to ask a question." Yes.
Well, my wife had a question she didn't get to ask earlier, and she's out with a baby now, so I'll ask it for her as it's being recorded. But, here, it's not so much atheists, we're in the Bible Belt, but it's a lot of Protestants. And so sometimes it's difficult to, I wish I could remember how she worded it, but it's difficult to interact with them. And she had this specific question of how, with the one true church, and how maybe to relate to these Protestants, and yet at the same time try to bring them into Orthodoxy. I didn't phrase it nearly as well.
I could be wrong, but this is what I believe. When my parents became, well, I wanted them to be Orthodox, and I think I mentioned that yesterday or whenever I spoke. And I really wanted my parents to be Orthodox, and so I prayed to God to help me be the very best son I can be. And I think that the best witness we can give of the truth of Orthodoxy is our joy and our love. I mean, who wants to be part of a faith where people are dreary and downtrodden and unhappy looking? One of the things that I have appreciated about my friendship with Father Moses is when we're out together, we both have this sort of same style. And I can see the impact that it has, especially when I've taken he and Matushka to the Southern Kitchen. And it's, as you said, it's one of the real, true soul food kitchens. They do the best fried chicken I've ever had in my life, and collard greens, and all of my favorite stuff. I love that place. But I especially love when I've gone there with them, because they see the joy that we have in Christ, and we see that we wear our religion on our shirt sleeves or our arm sleeves or whatever we would call these. Cuffs, that's it. We're dripping with orthodoxy. Look at us. Stand up here for a minute. I mean, look at us. If this isn't an ad for why you want to be Orthodox, I don't know what is. Right?
Right.
I love this man dearly. So, really, that's what we do to share orthodoxy. It's not a, if you want to be a good, you know what I did? Oh, it was a bad thing, but I did it. We have this farmer's market on the island every Saturday. And every Saturday there is a rack set up. And 3 Jehovah's Witnesses standing there. And of course they think I'm of the devil, so they don't even look at me. Although they did after I was attacked and was interviewed on televisions and said that I forgave the man. And I'm walking by, and one of them called out and said, "We really appreciated seeing you on the news forgiving that man that attacked you." But then there's these 2 young Mormon elders. I don't know why they're called elders. They're, they're barely out of high school. And they were in their white shirts and their little badges with their name, Elder such and such, and their ties and their slacks and poor things. And and what they do is they go to the market early every Saturday, and they help people set up their booths. I'm sure they're thinking, if I help them set up their booths, they're going to want to know all about Mormonism and become a Mormon. So they're always very nice to me. And so one Saturday, I went up to these guys and I said, "Have you noticed the Jehovah's Witnesses over there?" "Oh, yes." I said, "I used to teach high school debate. And I've judged lots of debate tournaments. Tell you what I'm going to do. You talk them into doing a public debate with you 2. I'll be the moderator, and we'll film it, and it will go viral." So they did. They went over and asked. Of course, the Jehovah's Witnesses were older and wiser in some ways, and they said, "No, we're not going to do that," because they figured what I'm up to. I'm going to have great fun with this, and it is going to go viral. An Orthodox monk as the moderator of a debate between Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons. I mean, wow, that would have gone all over the world. Mormon elders in Salt Lake City would have been all upset. How could you be so stupid? And Jehovah's Witnesses would be, "Oh, good, we looked like fools." That's my plan. Think about it. Who are the trained debaters of religion? Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons. They rehearse it. They've got people over them to make sure that they've refined it and that they're going to do a good job. And they ring your doorbell. You know how I finally stopped the Jehovah's Witnesses from visiting our place in Richmond, California before we moved? They were constantly coming to the door. And one day there were some Jehovah's Witnesses with a couple of cute little kids. And I was just heading out the door to go to my car, and there they were. And I said, "Oh, what adorable little children you have." And the children responded positively to me. And that was the last time they came. Because, I'm of this demonic religion. They don't want their children to say, "Well, how can he be so nice to us when he's a demonic religious person?" So, but the truth is, it's not about being a good debater. And I can tell you, as having been a high school and college debater and teaching debate, You don't have to be right to win a debate. You have to be good. I'm still to this day curious as to who would have won a debate like this. I mean, if any of them could have with a moderator like me. But think about it. And that's the trap that they operate with, these Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mormons, is that they're better at debating than you are. And so then you got these young Mormon elders at your door with the Bible, and they say, hey, do you know Jesus? I've been asked by Mormon elders, do you know Jesus? Well, yes, I do.